if I'm correct, you are someone who adopts the Maliki madhab
Yeah.
on most or all your affairs?
All affairs. Yeah.
Wicked.
Pretty much all affairs.
Okay.
I think on vanilla we follow the Hanafi school.
So what I've done with previous scholars and people of knowledge, when I've asked them fiqh questions, I've asked them if you can inform us and the viewers if there's a consensus on this issue.
Sure.
If there's a genuine difference of opinion within the school regarding the issue.
I got you.
Or I don't know.
Good.
In the Maliki school, can you have dogs as pets?
No, you cannot. Ijma'an in the school. As a pet in the house, a pet is in the house, right?
Yes.
It's in the Risala of Ibn Abi Zayd. He tells us it's forbidden. Why? Because the Prophet ﷺ had a meeting with Sayyidina Jibreel, an appointed time. Sayyidina Jibreel did not come. So the Prophet ﷺ left the house and found Jibreel there, in human form, of course.
Yeah.
And Jibreel explained, there's a puppy in the house, right? There's a dog in the house. We don't enter. Angels do not enter the home that has a dog. So from that, the Prophet ﷺ said the angels do not enter the home that has a dog. That's prohibition, because if angels don't go in, that's a loss. We need the angels of mercy in the house. So dogs can exist for shepherds, for the Bedouin, for nomads, if you're homeless, right? Like Ashab al-Kahf were homeless.
Of course.
They did not have a home. So you need protection. You need these shepherds, German shepherds. The Turks have their own shepherd dog.
Yep.
Farmers, nomads, Bedouins, homeless, they have different rules, right? They're allowed to have dogs. And those dogs come into the tent, leave the tent. The city person who has a home like that, the dog is forbidden in the Maliki school to keep it as a pet inside the home. That's not to say that dogs are like bad or anything, but angels don't like to be around them. You don't like to be around cockroaches,
Khalas.
right?
Yeah.
It's just, is there an explanation for that? No, I just don't like it. Human beings do not like to be around spiders. Is there an explanation? What's the logical explanation? Nothing. That's how well they're created. Dogs, they tend to have some najas, like they urinate and they defecate and they slobber. So that's something maybe is one of the reasons why angels don't like to be around them. So the Prophet has come to connect us to malaika. So we could have angels all around us at all times. So that's one of the reasons why. And if anyone wants a source, you go to the very early Maliki work, the Risala of Ibn Abi Zayd al-Qayrawani, go to the last few chapters, it's there.
Tobacco, smoking tobacco.
Maliki method, forbidden.
Haram.
Haram, not makruh.
Okay.
Haram. Yeah.
Okay.
Let me tell you an interesting story too. The great scholar Ahmed al-Tijani, founder of the Tariqah, he came about, he was living at a time when tobacco, cigarettes became popular. And he wanted the fatwa, so he came all the way to Egypt. He traveled from Morocco to Egypt to meet one of the greatest Maliki jurists at the time. His name is skipping my mind. But that one, he was considered the Sheikh al-Maliki in the world. And he said, we need the fatwa. I need to take your fatwa back. He said, okay, give me a few days. He writes the fatwa.
Can I ask you something? Why was there a need to find that fatwa? Was there not one predating that one?
What's that?
So the Sheikh travelled to get a fatwa.
He wanted the fatwa from the most authoritative person that no one would say no to.
And was there nothing before that pertaining to tobacco?
There probably were fatwa around, sayings, different scholars speaking about it. So he goes and he tells, give me a few days. His name is skipping my mind. But he then comes back to him. And he said, I gave you the fatwa on the two matters that are popular in the world today, smoking and drinking coffee. And here's the fatwa. Now, I never release a fatwa unless I first present it and get a sign from Allah that is correct. So he said, I saw a vision of the Prophet ﷺ. In this vision, the Prophet ﷺ was in the house with the Sahaba. And coffee was presented, and the Sahaba and the Prophet partook in it. So I knew my fatwa on the permissibility of coffee. It's not mind-altering. It's mood-altering, maybe. That's permissible. Not only that, there's benefits in it. Keep you up for tahajjud and all that. Then, in the vision, a man came to knock on the door. Before he even arrived at the door, the Sahaba ran to block him from coming in. And I said, why are you blocking this man? They said, he's a smoker. Right? And the Prophet ﷺ despises the smell of the cigarettes, right? So that's not the source of the fatwa, of course. The source of the fatwa is book, sunnah, and
But that's a
usul.
dream.
That was a dream that sort of confirmed for him. So unlike I can't say that's ijma'an. That's in the Maliki madhab prohibition. Yeah.
What's the travel distance for Malik?
There's some opinions that is translates the shar'i mile,
Yeah.
which is the burud, arba'ata burud.
Yeah.
Sheikh Rami and his teachers were giving 36 English miles. Others had said 48 English miles, and yet others had said 72 English miles. So whatever it is that you are taught by your teacher, you just stick to that, because there's no consensus on it.
Are you allowed to combine prayers in the Maliki school?
The dominant school is that you're allowed to combine prayer in sayr while traveling. So a traveler is in two states. Sayr, right? He's either traveling or he's not traveling, moving or not. So you are allowed to combine prayers while moving. When you arrive, you shorten only. But the condition is your trip is less than 20 prayers worth. If your trip is 21 prayers, you're no longer a traveler. Okay? You can't shorten nor combine. So when you arrive, you shorten your prayers. That's the dominant opinion. But there is an opinion that is spread around, and it's a reading from Mukhtasar Khalil that does also permit combining and shortening when you've arrived. But I can't tell you that that's the mashhur. But I can tell you that prominent, big fuqaha practice that.
When you say more than 20 prayers, are you talking about 20 divided by 5?
So 4 days. 4 days.
4 days are we talking about? Okay.
4 days.
The utterance of talaq 3 times, is that an immediate divorce? Talaq, talaq, talaq.
That
Done.
is... No, just the word talaq does not do anything.
3 times.
No,
If
I could say talaq 100 times, doesn't mean anything. Anti taliq. You have, right? You are divorced. Just saying the word talaq means nothing.
Okay,
right?
you are divorced.
You're
3 times.
divorced. Yes, with ijma' sahaba. The Sayyidina Umar, when he saw people doing this and hurting the women, anti taliq, anti taliq, anti taliq 3 times. Doesn't make a difference what language. Could be written, spoken, and it could be other words too.
Yeah.
Other words that indicate divorce, clearly. So, Sayyidina Umar ibn Khattab, he said, okay, stop doing this. Stop saying it 3 times. But people wouldn't stop. So he made an announcement, and he said, from here on, my judges will rule that if you utter it 3 times, we're treating it as a 3 times divorce. Which means you're taking the marriage lightly, you cannot remarry her, or revoke the divorce. You can only remarry her if she marries another man, physically consummates, not enters a room alone, physically consummates through intercourse with that man. Then if that marriage fails, then you may remarry. Very difficult process, right? Almost impossible. So that's the hindrance from that. Sayyidina Umar said, if you utter it 3 times, it's a divorce. The Sahaba accepted it. What is that? That's called ijma' Sahaba. Who's going to go against ijma' Sahaba? Right? So that's why the madhahib, at least the Maliki madhab for sure, they hold that. You know, we're not going to go against the ijma' of the Sahaba. The Sahaba have ijma' upon that. So we're not going against ijma' Sahaba.
20 or 8 rak'ah for tarawih.
Masajid can establish what they want. But the Sahaba established 20. Sayyidina Umar ibn Abdul Aziz, to make matters easy for people, shortened the rak'ah and increased the numbers. So shorter rak'ah, but more rak'ahs, 36 he established. Showing that the number is not the mas'ala. But if a masjid is going to establish something, if they want to follow with the Sahaba, they establish 20.
What is the dominant position in the Maliki school?
20. Because that's what the Sahaba established. And 36 is also mentioned because Sayyidina Umar ibn Abdul Aziz is like a rightly guided, he acted upon the rightly guided Khalifa's methodology. So, but for the individual, any number of rak'ahs is tarawih. There's no set number, minimum nor maximum. So whether if you pray Isha, salam out, get up and pray 2 rak'ahs at the intent of being tarawih, then go to sleep. You pray tarawih. Is it a strong tarawih? No, but it's tarawih. That's at the individual. For the masajid, they ought to establish, they can establish any number. Right? In Algeria, they don't do 20 or 36 or 8.
What do they do?
They do 13. Okay? Based upon a narration that the Prophet's qiyam was 10 rak'ahs. Add shaf and witr, that's 13. So, and they're massive scholars there. So it's not, there's nothing set in stone for that, for the number of rak'ahs. But the books do tell you 20 is the number, and that's widespread in the ummah. So if you're going to establish a masjid, 5 pillars mosque,
Okay.
20 rak'ahs.
Khalas.
Yeah.
Does a woman need the permission of her wali for nikah?
Of course, if she was never married before. If she was married before, and she knows the world of men and she knows how to assess a man now, because the assumption is that she's, in general, not familiar with the world of men. And if you go, any Muslim girl who's raised by her family, lives by her family, she's not always hanging out with guys, right? That's just, she's hardly ever.
Most of the time, no.
And if maybe never hanging out with guys, maybe there are cousins or
Yes.
whatever.
Yep.
But in general, her dad is the filter to that world. So she can't enter that world unless he checks off, because the assumption in the Sharia is that dad really cares about his daughter and will not let her go into harm's way, and only wants benefit for her. So, but after she's been in the world of men, she's married a man, she's been intimate with a man, she lived with a man, now the Sharia gives her the decision. She can marry her. She still needs a wali, but the wali simply...
Can the nikah happen without a wali?
It can happen without a wali, right? But the wali is still should be there as somebody who is her protector in the process, but she's the decision maker. That second if she can marry herself, but she's still highly recommended for her to have her wali there. So it's not like she's khalas done with the wali. And in practical real life, if you have a good relationship with your dad or your wali's going to be there. You don't, practically speaking, if a woman goes into a marriage to a man and she's just like a lone figure, it sends a message to the guy.
Absolutely.
Like you don't have anybody. Like where are your? But if she goes into the marriage and, oh well, you got to talk to my dad first. The dad comes in with like 2 sons. Then the uncle comes in. Then the grandpa comes in. Oh, you better be careful.
Absolutely.
Right? So Sharia plans for when things go bad, not only just when things go good.
Under the Maliki school, do you have to recite any verses in Jama'ah behind the Imam?
You listen.
Okay, but
When the Imam's reciting out loud, you listen, you don't recite anything.
okay, what about when he's not reciting? Do you do Fatiha?
Recommendation, not obligatory.
Okay. What constitutes as a man's aura in the Maliki school?
From the navel to the top of the knee.
Top of the knee.
Top of the knee.
So the bottom of the knee can be shown.
Yes.
Okay. Lastly.
By the way, the statements that the thigh can be shown is not the dominant opinion. Yeah. If you look in the books, they have discussion on 3 possibilities.
Okay.
One, that the thigh area is not the aura. One, that it is the aura. The other, that is just makruh to show.
Okay.
Another caveat there is that it depends on the circumstance, right? But the dominant opinion is that it is forbidden to show the thigh, your thigh, to other people.
Any type of tattooing, permanent or not, permissible? Tattoos.
Tattoo is haram when permanent. Absolutely haram when permanent, ijma' across all 4 madhabs. But the non-permanent tattoo, the temporary tattoo,
ones.
henna or sticker or whatever it is, it is permitted, and it may be makruh, could be makruh, for a couple reasons. Number 1, if it is an imitation of fusaq, for example. Fusaq is like people who are wayward, and you're imitating them, and it's known that that's their attribute, right?
Meaning it's associated with the type of people?
Yeah.
In the fusaq.
Yeah, that anybody in the masjid, any pious Muslim would hold that, in general society would hold that is a symbol of those people. They're the ones who tattoo in that way. But you did it in a halal way, but in imitation. The tattoo itself is not the permission, it's the
imitation.
The issue. The imitation is the issue.
Okay.
So we say that's makruh. Yeah. It could be also zina, right? So tattooing excessively for a woman in a way that would get attention from people and would cause people to look at you would also enter the realm, maybe between makruh, maybe even forbidden.
I kind of linked this one and the very last one. Piercing for men.
Piercing?
Yeah.
All jewelry for men is haram.
But just piercing even. Some people pierce it and don't put nothing in there.
No, this is new to me.
Okay. But piercing with a ring, earring or anything like that is not allowed.
All jewelry for men is haram, made haram by the Prophet ﷺ, except one exception. The ring is an exception. It's an exception that is a sunnah too. And that ring has a measurement too, has a weight, has a limit. Okay, it can't be certain size. Yeah, there's a weight. I can't remember what the weight is exactly off the top of my head, but there's a limit to it. And this summary is it to be silver ring with a stone in it. That's it.